Armando, I want you to stay with us as we also bring back Gloria Borger and Adam Kinzinger. Adam, you're seeing the way the former president is taking up a lot of oxygen right now as your former colleagues, these House Republicans, are gathering in Florida. Is this precisely the type of Trump-inspired distraction you've been warning about?
Yeah. I mean, look, this is a time where the Republicans should be talking about what's your agenda for the economy, what's your agenda for the banking system, what's your agenda for poverty going forward, Ukraine, right? Those kinds of discussions. This is overshadowing it. And frankly, whether it's this one or the potential charges from Georgia or the potential federal charges, this is going to overshadow the Republican agenda. I mean, you see people like Marjorie Taylor Greene out there. This is basically all she's tweeting about. She's the de facto leader of the GOP right now. So it's a massive distraction. And I think a lot of these Republicans are getting way out in front of their skis. Read the charges. Let's see what the charges are if they come. If they are a nothing burger, they probably do have a right then to ask some questions, but they very well may not be. And I worry about the precedent of the chill that this sends to any state prosecutor that wants to pursue charges against any American.
Meanwhile, Gloria, the former president is clearly seizing on the fact that he may be indicted to help fuel his 2024 presidential campaign. Will he be able to spin all of this into some sort of political advantage?
Well, he's going to do it. He's going to try to do it. And certainly, you know, we've seen that already on his Truth Social posts calling for protests to save the nation. He did it after the classified documents were found at Mar-a-Lago, and he raised a lot of money, Wolf, on that, remember? So I think there's no doubt the president will do it on this. I think the real question is, if the Georgia grand jury decides to indict him, and if Jackson Smith finds criminal culpability in the insurrection, for example, what is Donald Trump going to say then? Is he going to go back to the well, and are these Republicans going to go back to the well and say every single charge against the president is politically motivated? What can they say next? And if they do that, maybe the American public will say, wait a minute, can everything be politically motivated? And would that cause a problem for Donald Trump? Not with his base, but the question is, I think, how independent voters will view this should he be nominated in a general election.
Manu, you're there. You're covering these House Republicans down in Florida. Trump's Republican allies, as you know, including the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, have been quick to defend him against this Manhattan district attorney. But McCarthy also says he does not want people to protest if Trump is indicted. How delicate is McCarthy's balancing act right now?
Well, McCarthy has been performing this balancing act against Trump really for the past several years here. I mean, remember after January 6th, McCarthy went to the House floor, attacked President Trump, criticized him, blamed him for the violence on that day. Later, he went down to Mar-a-Lago and aligned himself with Donald Trump. In the aftermath, as there was a push to try to establish an outside commission to investigate January 6th, aligned himself with Donald Trump, scuttled that effort as well. And when after he was elected Speaker of the House, the first person he thanked was Donald Trump for helping him get the votes after 15 ballots on the House floor. That, of course, happened just moments after January 6, 2023, 2 years to the date of the deadly insurrection that happened in the Capitol at the hands of Donald Trump's supporters. This has been Kevin McCarthy's move all along to align himself with Trump, but also perhaps not to get too far, not to say to be aligned with any sort of violence that could occur if that were to happen, if any protests were to happen in the aftermath of any indictment here. So Kevin McCarthy has made a decision here, align himself with Trump, but perhaps not embrace that kind of rhetoric that the former president has unleashed so far on social media.
All right, stand by. Adam, let me get your thoughts on House Republicans right now. They're calling on the Manhattan District Attorney to testify before Congress. Do you think this is a sincere quest for the truth, or are you concerned about the motivation of some of your former Republican colleagues?
Yeah, of course it's not a sincere request. I mean, if it was, they would wait to see what this indictment reads. And if the indictment really is a nothing burger, then they could have sincere questions about how this came about. They've jumped the gun on this. I mean, I think we're becoming, we run the risk certainly of becoming numb to what's really going on here. You have an entire party that's basically jumping the gun and trying to interfere before laws and before law enforcement really has had its chance and justice has had its chance to be done. You have the president that's done one of the darkest videos I've ever seen the former president, where he called Russia not our enemy, but fellow Americans our enemy, and then has tweeted or put on Truth Social over and over that his supporters need to come out and basically prevent justice from occurring. Now, you go to Earth 2.0 5 years ago, and people would be shocked by this. We'd become numb, and I don't think we can afford and risk to become as numb as we've become.
Adam Kinzinger, thank you very much. Gloria.